fair, but most see this as a major red flag. Well, truth be told, if you have to borrow money from your family, you're financially unstable. Plain and simple. If you got to borrow money from a friend that's like family, you're financially unstable. It is a red flag. If you was dating a chick and y'all wanted to go somewhere and you had to make a phone call real quick and your bro had to stop by the house and drop you off a few bills so that you could take your girl out, she gonna look at you as broke as fuck. You know what I mean? It don't matter if you go outside and y'all talk for a little bit in the car and then you come back into the house. She know you made a phone call because your ass ain't had no damn money. These women know what's going on now. So, and then think about this fact though. You say, well, I typically will go and borrow money from my family. Now, from the perspective of the family, if I'm the family member that's always giving money to the family members like you that only come to the family to borrow money, I'm the one that spread myself thin. That means I'm giving away everything I work for just because we family. I still have to budget how much money I'm willing to lend to my family so that I don't stretch myself too thin. It doesn't matter if it's just like $50 for gas or $10 for a bag of chips or, 85 cents for this arcade machine. What matters is that if every time somebody come to me and say, hey, fam, can I get some money? And I like, don't worry about it. I got you. That is money that I work for that I'm never going to get back. So the idea is that if I set limits and say, well, I'm only going to loan this much money out to family in general, don't matter how many family members ask for something, I'm only going to lend a certain quantity of money out to family. Then if somebody borrowed that whole stack, I ain't got shit left. So everybody else that come and ask me for money, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to tell them, well, Bobby borrowed the money from me, and until he give it back, I ain't got nothing else. So that's going to mean that if they want something from me, they got to go loan shark Bobby, break his legs, and get the money from him because they need the money. I'm going to do it dirty. I'm going to make sure that everybody that come and ask me for $1 know that you got 500 of them so that they need to go kick your ass and get the money so that they can do what they need to do. If you can get it out of Bobby, you can take it. That is. Because he ain't brought it back to me. But the fact is that we spread ourselves thin for our family. And a lot of times in relationships, that is a red flag as men if we got to ask money from anybody. And that's one of the reasons why men don't really talk to women about their finances. Because if a man got more debt than he got money, she's going to find him to be a problem. If a woman got more debt than she got money, don't worry about it, baby. I'll take care. It's a completely different dynamic. Guy said, before I filed for bankruptcy 15 years ago, I bought a whole bunch of silver and gold with my credit cards. It was a great move. Of course, because if you bought it all and you didn't report it, when you filed for bankruptcy, nobody's seen it. So when they liquidated all the assets, you got all the damn gold and shit. And then once the bankruptcy case closed, you still got all this gold and shit. Your credit score going to skyrocket when you start putting that gold to work. He said, I'm not, but there was one time when I broke down and I had to get a tow and was an hour away from home and I forgot my wallet. So family member paid for the tow over the phone. This was 15 years ago. Yeah, that's fine. Look, I'm not talking about emergencies. Okay, so what you just described was an unexpected emergency. It's a situation that doesn't happen very often. What I'm talking about, and you know that you know somebody that behaved like this. This motherfucker always come right after they know you got paid. Best friend in the world, best family member in life. But before they walk out the door, can I ask you for a favor? You know who I'm talking about. Them be the one that make you wonder why the hell you open your damn door. Because they don't never come unless they want something. You know what I mean? How your day? How's the fam? How's the kids? Oh, I'm so glad. Oh, you doing good? Oh, the job as well. Oh, I see the car upgraded. Da, 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 da. Let me borrow some money. Them be the ones that be like, you know what? Let me get you this contract that's going to charge like 18% interest over time, late fees over time. I ain't going to argue with you, fam. But until I get 100% of this contract back, you can't get another dime from me. So the next time they come and ask me about some stuff, I'm gonna be like, let me look at the ledger. You still owe me $6,000 from that one time you borrowed $800 from me. I can't help you, fam, till you pay me back in full. Just like Scott, you got to pay me back in full. But yeah, I didn't had it happen before. I'm not invincible, man. I got this advice because I learned from my own mistakes. I can tell you, I done had a situation where I broke down. I had to call two friends. I had to call one friend to get a tow truck, and then I had to call another friend to help me fix it. I actually had the one that helped me fix it had to tow it after the other one towed it because the first tow was only going to go so far, and then the second tow got us the rest of the way. Then, because I didn't have the money to fix what had to happen, the one that towed it had to pay for the parts. You know what I mean? But in my world, that was reciprocation. Because remember I told you about the dude with the $45,000 truck I bought? He the one that paid for the stuff. So he got a free truck out of me. When my shit broke down and I ain't had no money, he fixed my car. You know what I mean? But it's not a perfect world. You still spread yourself too thin if you're doing favors for friends so that they owe you one. Each favor you do for somebody else, you spread yourself thin so that they owe you one. That way, when you call in all these favors, they're reciprocating on you still not being stable. Even if you got 100 people that owe you a favor, if you got to call in 100 favors, you 100 favors unstable. You understand? If you lent out $1,000 to 1,000 people, that's $100,000. And if you had to borrow that money back, that's how broke you was at that moment. So it don't matter if, I'm just getting back what I put out in the atmosphere. What matters is that I didn't have it and I had to go get it from somebody else. So you just got to, it's part of life. And we can't be 100% prepared for it. But today's show is going to help us minimize that so that we can do a little bit better going into 2026 because shit's about to get rough in 26. He said palm readers. No, Stefan. This isn't palm reader. Did anywhere on the show say I read your palm for you? Because I could have sworn it say why loud budgeting beats the 50-30-20 rule and this and that and everything in between with the host Xander. So I don't know how you thought this was read your future. But what I can tell you though, Stephen, is that I can definitely predict the next failure if you're not paying attention to what we got going on today. So make sure that you stay tuned. He said, yeah, that's called the family drug addicted or deadbeat. Very sad to see because in the beginning trying to help and later you realize you just enable them in the long run. It's not even the drug dealer. It's more along the lines of the deadbeat. It's the one that's entitled. You know, the favorite in the family, the one that everybody do everything for, the one that don't ever have to ask too much of nothing. They just got to have a little temper tantrum and like 8 people jump at their whim. That's the one that don't never have to do without. That's the one that's always needing help. But see, the black sheep of the family, the one that was treated like shit, the one that didn't nobody want to do nothing for, the one that had to get it on their own, that's always the one that's got the most success. And ironically, that's the one that's always so duty bound to go back and take care of the rest of the damn family. It's always like that. The favorite child of the kids, that's the kid that's the most incompetent. The one that everybody ignored, that's the one that's the most successful. Because in order for that one to thrive, he had to get it on his own. We just had that discussion on the show last week about the parents that enable the kids too much, and they end up being unprepared for adulthood. You see, I never like hooks in me, but when someone steps, I am always grateful. I agree with that method. I hate hooks. And it's not so much because of having to owe somebody. It's because I didn't have it. If I fell, I ain't mad that I got hurt. I'm mad that I ain't still standing. I'm not supposed to go down for nothing. But just because I fell don't mean I'm not going to get back up. But I'm always going to remember that part that I fell. Never going to forget that moment. I should have never failed. Nobody else is thinking about it. I'm like the musician in life that missed the note, but nobody knew that that wasn't on purpose. And at the end of that performance, everybody else is giving me a standing ovation. And I'm sitting over here beating myself up over the fact that I know that I could have done better. The fact that you made it, that's all that matters. But I know I could have did better. Self-accountability. Not a lot of people have that because we got to put it off on somebody else. And we got to pray to that person or that entity so that they can make things better for us instead of us just doing better with our budget. So we're going to be getting into that. And before I get started, I want to make sure I tell you guys to make sure that y'all like and subscribe. Make sure that y'all take the opportunity to take a look at the membership and then hit that notification button, because while we never let the sun rise without going live, we don't always start on time. And it's been a regular habit for us not to start at the same time, even though we don't start on time regularly. So we're not even consistent with being late. If y'all watching us from Twitter or Twitch, I keep forgetting it's not gonna put the icons up. If y'all are watching us from Twitter or Twitch, a highly interactive podcast, so y'all can put y'all comments in onto the show. You'll see them in the comment section. If you're doing 6x9, it's over here, 16x9, and the ones I'm paying attention to is gonna be right here. And then if you're watching us on the 9x16, it's up here. But you still see the regular comment section right there. So we'll be able to follow along, and when y'all see all the extra comments popping up, then y'all be able to have a cross-brand conversation, because this is probably one of very few, if not the only, podcast that is deliberately broadcasting on multiple different live streams at the same time with the intent to have interactive communication. While there are other podcasters that have multiple brands, everybody pay attention to me and have the individual comment sections separated. I am the only one that I have seen that is trying to integrate 4 or 5 different social media platforms into one massive multimedia communication platform. Once we get there, it'll be the best damn thing since Donald Trump. They're gonna be like, oh snap, did you see what he did? It's harder to do though. It's a niche environment, and that niche environment is trailblazing. And then you know what happens to trailblazers? We have to try the hardest to accomplish the least so that we can become the greatest and do the most in comparison to the rest. It ain't a shortcut. It is not a shortcut. But when we get there, we will shine. Because ain't nobody else gonna be able to do it the way we do it. And it don't matter if TikTok fall off or not. You still can see it. Your phone can die and you can log in from a different platform. If you remember the name is the same. If you remember the name, you type that, I guarantee you're going to find us. It ain't going to be hard to see. You like, shit, he is streaming over here too. But right now we got it on long form on YouTube, vertical form on YouTube. We got it on long form on Twitter and Twitch, and you should see us as soon as they finish buying out TikTok. I'm trying to get our long form on for TikTok as well. So we're gonna have a lot of stuff going on here. Did you have a dream about spaceships on the moon? Nah, man, because I'm gonna be real with you. It's been so long since I done had a dream. Because I hear that it ain't safe. It ain't safe to dream. Rumor has it, last man on my block with a dream was Martin Luther King, and you see what happened to him. So we just rock nightmares right now. That's all we got. We got nightmares. We don't have. Because I was pretty out there last night, no sleep. I probably had an hour and 20 minutes of sleep since the last time I saw you. Since the last time I saw you, I've had an hour and 20 minutes sleep, and I'm not done until daylight. So I got a lot of stuff to do. With that being said, let's go ahead and get things rolling with today's entertainment. So, you have been told that if you can't stick to a budget, you're just bad with money, right? That if you download one more spreadsheet or categorize one more expense or just try a little harder to say no, then financial peace will finally be yours, right? Exactly. That's not altogether true, guys. That's not altogether true. You've listened to this advice a lot. You've made those spreadsheets. You've downloaded those apps, Clio, Dave, um, Kickoff. You've done it. You've looked at your bank account. Some of y'all, my age and older, y'all used to balance the little checkbook at the end of the book when you run out of checks. Some of y'all got that fintech app, but y'all micromanaging every transaction, getting text messages on it. And at the end of the month, your bank account and your emotions felt that familiar sinking failure. I'm here to tell you that feeling is based on a lie. You're not bad with money. Not everybody, at least. Your methods are. This is the reason that you feel like you are failing. This is because the system that you're being sold since you was young is broken. Same system. Just like Dylan, when you was telling me, oh, got to pay off all your debt first. That depends on how much debt you got. Do you realize that the method of bankruptcy is the same method that broke folks use? It's called letting shit go. Legitimately. If you can afford it, you pay down the debt. But if you can't afford to pay more than just the interest, you charge that shit off and just let it go. Because why am I going to pay $55 out of $150 a month worth of debt on a card that I don't have the $5,000 for, when you can just take that card off my credit and I can take that $75 or $150 a month and put it somewhere else. Legitimately. The difference between bankruptcy court, where they reduce your payments and stretch out your stuff, versus just saying, I'm just not going to pay y'all no more, is the 7.5 years that you got to wait on your credit score for your credit score to get better. But it's not going to be no worse than filing bankruptcy, because honest to God, the first 2 years after bankruptcy, you can't get a loan nowhere. Can't get a loan nowhere. But if you let a bunch of shit get charged off your bank account, like a year from now, you might still be able to do some stuff, depending on what it was and how much it was. But at the same time, not too many people know about this. So if you think that you got a $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 credit card, and that credit card, you paying the minimum because that's all you can afford to pay, you ain't doing nothing but paying on the interest and keeping the card in good standing, but you're giving away a bunch of money because you're never hitting the principal. Once you start reaching that level of brokenness, you need to start really saying, fuck half of this debt. Is there like the app that tells you what you have left for what bucket of the budget left every week? That is a good app to have. I just have apps that lets me know when more than $100 enters my account and less than $100 is left in my account. That's really the only two notifications. And between that and every time a charge has been made on my card, on any of my cards. So I know that money is being spent. That's it. Don't matter how much it is, money is being spent. So if I got a credit card with my bank, I get two notices, one from my bank and one from my credit card for the same purchase. Dude plays with Lake Michigan on Google Maps. Okay. That's strike one for you. Now, you guys got to realize that this is a method that is a relic from a different economic era, back before the internet. And it's built for a life that most of us no longer live. For decades, we've been handed a one-size-fits-all rule book and been shamed when it doesn't fit us. But what if the problem isn't your discipline? What if the problem is the rules itself? You ever played a game that was so fucking hard that it made most sense just not to play it? The rules were so damn complicated, you had to spend 45 minutes reading the rule book. You said, well, I bought this shit. We're just going to make up some house rules and just play it any kind of way so that we can have some fun, right? It's not because you're bad at games. It's because the damn rules were too damn challenging, too difficult, too complicated, too taxing, especially in a life where we really want to get this done. If you hate the guilt, restrictions, sheer tendon of traditional budgeting, then you are in the right place, because today we're not just talking about a new way to budget. We're going to dismantle the old way, piece by piece. We're going to expose the psychological traps that keep you stuck in a cycle of shame and, ironically, overspending. And then I'm going to show you a better way, one that doesn't require superhuman savings. It does not require extreme willpower or even a degree in accounting. We're going to explore psychology-driven techniques like loud budgeting and the anti-budget. Never talked about anti-budgeting before. These are methods that work with your brain, not against it, to make saving money feel less like a punishment and more like an empowering choice. Now, this is your permission slip to finally quit the system that has been failing you this whole time. And before we can build a new home, we have to understand why the old one is collapsing. Because for many of us, that crumbling financial home is built on the foundation of the 50-30-20 rule. You heard of it. I've talked about it before. It's everywhere. The financial gurus, the blogs, and even well-meaning family members preach it as the gospel of personal finance. It is a good goal to aim for. Shit, 30-50-20 rule is just as good when you're living at 30% of the standard of living that you bring in. But let's be real. The average person that's able to pull that off typically got 2-3 extra incomes and has not increased their standard of income, their standard of spending. The average individual with 1 to 2 jobs to juggle enough money to cover their bills, they're always 80 to 90% of their income, 99% of their income. The extra money that they save for an emergency is not for their emergency, it's for somebody else's emergency. So they never got nothing extra. People that live from check to check. Just like the man that was on the show earlier this week talking about his 2 work trucks. Broke his foot 2-3 weeks ago. And you know, when you break a bone, you're really supposed to not work for 18 months to let the bone heal. This man was only able to stay out of work for 2 weeks, and now you got to go back to work because he doesn't have a backup plan. We don't always plan for everything. Doesn't mean that he's not a good businessman, and it doesn't mean that he doesn't have his stuff together, but it does mean that his health is not as good as it could be because he did not plan for what if I break a foot. But how can we plan for every X factor in life? We can't. We have to navigate around them as they come. Now, the rule itself is simple. It's very seductive, too. It was popularized by the U.S. Senator Elizabeth Warren and her daughter, Amelia Warren Tyja, in their 2005 book, All Your Worth, The Ultimate Lifetime Money Plan. Now, before I go into this, ladies, Dylan, you already know I'm about to get them. Ladies, this is a male-driven podcast from the male's perspective. So what I'm about to tell y'all not gonna like it. But I'm just gonna be realistic. A financial budgeting plan from a woman in 2025 is destined for failure because women do not prioritize spending and saving and budgeting money. It is guaranteedly going to fail. However, However, before 2005, the person who managed the money the best was the women. I don't know what the fuck happened to y'all. I don't know what happened to y'all. Y'all used to be the ones where the man would bring your money back. Bring his money back. It's your money. He bring his money back from work. Give it to you. And he would be successful because you got it. These days, you bring your money back to your girl and your money will never see a damn bill. But she will get new clothes, new shoes, new hair, new makeup, new feet, new ankles, new shins. So when we get this financial budgeting thing from a female, all kind of red flags pop up. But you got to understand, back in those days, women were really, really good at budgeting. Very successful. Now, the idea is to divide your after-tax income into three different buckets. 50% for your needs, 30% for your wants, and 20% for your savings and your debt repayment. Now, you got to understand that this might be split up just a little bit further because some people like to give 10% to the church. So you might have 10% for your savings and 10% for the church, or 20% for your needs, 20% for your savings, and 10% for your church. But either way it goes, you will put half of it aside for what you got to pay for, and then the other 50%, you'll split it up three ways and include giving a little bit of money to the church. I keep telling y'all that if y'all gonna do the work of the Lord through the acts of man, instead of y'all bringing the money to the dang church, and bringing it out there to the people in the street that need some damn help. Instead of paying for the building fund, you need to pay for somebody's bus pass. Instead of putting the money in the collection plate, you need to buy an extra meal at McDonald's and walk outside and give it to whoever the fuck spent too much time at the damn bus stop looking like they just got off from work. They don't gotta be homeless. They could just look like they fucking hungry because they didn't been at work all damn day. You could just give them an extra sandwich and just be nice to your fellow brethren. Really? Corinthians 1-31. I'm just trying to tell y'all, put a little gospel in the middle of the show. But he said, yep, I know that's right. But the thing about it is, we don't consider that stuff. But it is actually a financial waste to take your capital and put it into something that is not going to give you an invoice that you can write off on your taxes, especially since you can't go to that same entity and ask them back for more than what they gave you. Can you go to a church and borrow $50,000? No. But Lord knows they'll be singing your prayers if you give them $50,000. I'm just trying to tell you. I'm just trying to tell you. But will you get that money back? No. Deacon gonna get a new Bentley. When these ladies divided their stuff up, the needs are considered the absolute essentials, which is when I tell you guys, when you start budgeting yourselves for that furlough moment, for that unemployment moment, for that COVID moment, the absolute essentials is what you've got to pay attention to. House, utilities, groceries, necessary transportation, insurances. These days, you got to throw your cell phone bill into the utility bills, even though that's not something that used to be there, because utilities used to always be lights, water, and gas. Now it's light, water, gas, internet. And if you don't have a cell phone bill with internet on it, it's light, water, gas, internet, and cell phone. Because some of y'all got the cheap $30 a month plan that just do calling and texting. And then you got you the cheapest internet from like Frontier or Spectrum that give you the basic quantity of internet, and you spending $60 between the two when you could have been spending $75 with a brand new phone with unlimited 5G internet from T-Mobile. Soundbite. I'm just trying to tell you. And you would have had better quality service. Not in my neighborhood, but you would have been having better quality service. Wants are going to be everything else that makes life enjoyable, but isn't strictly necessary for survival. You know, dining out, fast foods, hobbies, traveling, streaming subscriptions, memberships of all kinds, savings, of course. But savings is the money that you put away for the future, for emergencies, for investing, paying down debts beyond the minimums. student loans. And on the surface, it sounds logical. It's balanced and easy to remember. And for a brief moment in time, for a specific type of person, it might have even worked. The book came out in 2005, which was 20 years ago. So right now, 3 weeks from now, this book will be old enough to drink. Think about that world for a moment, because 2005 was 4 years before the internet. We still had payphones up everywhere. Okay. While freelance work existed, the app-based gig economy wasn't a mainstream reality the way it is right now. Housing costs and student loan debt were also growing concerns, but they hadn't yet spiraled into the crises that we crash through so many houses in today's society. The 50-30-20 rule was born in a different world. Today, for many people, that rule isn't just helpful or completely unhelpful. It's actually more often than not unrealistic. It became the body mass index, or BMI, of personal finance. A simple, appealing, yet deeply flawed matrix that fails to account for the diversity of real life, and it most people feeling inadequate. So let's get specific. Why does the rule crumble under pressure of modern life? First, and almost crucially, it completely ignores the reality of high costs of living areas. So let's run those numbers real quick based on recent data. As of 2024 second quarter, the median pay for a full-time worker in the United States was $1,143 per week. Now, for those of you that don't make that much money, I'm trying to tell you that poor people start at $1,143 per week. Okay, which is about $59,436 a year. After taxes, that comes out to a roughly $4,100 a month, depending on your state. Okay. Now, according to the 50-30-20 rule, that gives you $2,000, $2,050 for your basic needs. But as of late 2024, the national average rent alone was about $1,559 per month. In many major cities, it's far higher, 3,000, 5,000. Before you bought a single grocery, paid an electric bill, put gas in your car, a huge portion of your needs budget is completely gone. And in many cities, rent alone would push you over the 50% line, some as much as 60 to 65%. So how can a system such as this be effective if the average person fails at step one? So for a medium income earner in an expensive city, the needs category might easily swallow 70 or 80% of their take-home pay out the gate, which is one of the reasons why majority of us are spending closer to 90 to 95. The 50-30-20 rule doesn't see them, simply labels them as a failure. Second, the rule is dangerously one size fit all and doesn't adapt to different life stages. Because a 22-year-old recent graduate buried in student loans shouldn't have the same financial priorities as a 45-year-old with a paid off house. Yet the 50-30-20 rule has them the same style of blueprint. It suggests that someone fighting off hard interest, credit card debts, should still allocate massive 30% of their income to wants. Shit. That's not always sound advice. In some seasons of life, you might need a period where your wants or only 5, maybe even 1%, because every other available dollar is a soldier being sent to war against your debt, building up extra money against bullshit, rainy day funds when you know you about to have a dip. Anybody right now that is working for themselves, you know that there's going to be a down week either before or after Christmas, depending on what you're doing for a living. And if your money is coming by the customer, your money from November is preparing you for your drought in December, because the money that you're getting in December won't be enough money to pay for the bills that you got coming in January. You are not sitting over here talking about, I got extra money for Christmas. Fuck Christmas. I'm trying to make sure the rent is paid in January. And while proponents suggest adjusting the percentages, the core formula isn't itself a way that accounts for the nuances. Conversely, for a high income earner, the rule can just be as damaging. Because if someone making $200,000 a year and their essential needs might only take up 20% of their income, the guideline would allow them to spend an astronomical $5,000 a month on wants, while saving a comparatively small 20%. Now, this is a recipe for lifestyle inflation, not wealth creation. The rule is too lenient for those who have the capacity to save aggressively and build real life changing wealth. The third distinction between needs and wants is a blurry, and subjective mess that just invites guilt. And I'm going to be honest with you, I've been in that situation. No matter how good I am at this, I've been in that situation where I wanted something. And I told y'all this on the show. I would want something, I would send myself the link to it, and I won't buy it. And I keep looking at it and looking at it and looking at it and looking at it. And 89 to 95% of the time, I don't buy it. No doubt. Because I always think to myself, this gonna be the bullshit that I buy, that immediately after the shit gets shipped, I'm gonna wish I had that money for something else. That is a level of guilt in purchase power. You don't have the confidence in being able to spend your money freely when every time you pay for your entertainment, you are concerned about not having enough money to cover the debt. Even though all of this month was paid all of last month, and all of what's coming in right now is paying for all of next month, I still don't feel comfortable with buying the damn thing today, because I'm waiting on next month's bills to clear right now. And wildly enough, what do you think I'm going to be doing at the beginning of the next month? Covering February in January. So is there ever a moment where I got more than what I need? I don't know, because I'm always advance paying everything else. Is your internet connection a need or a want for you? In the world of remote work, it's a non-negotiable need. I can't do this podcast if I don't have internet. I can't connect with my clients in Asia if I don't have internet. So as much as my phone bill pisses me off more often than not, I still gotta have internet. So I gotta pay extra money for it. Yeah, I can call my phone company and I can give them a nice conversation every 2 to 3 weeks and end up taking 50% off the phone bill, but I still gotta pay extra for it. In a city with great public transportation, is that a want? In a rural area with no other option, is that a need? Is a gym membership a want, or is it a need for your long-term health? Saving you from future medical costs by getting your exercise today might actually be a need more than a want. The rule forces you into these frustrating mental gymnastics, often leaving you feeling guilty for spending on things that generally improve your life. As men, we are notorious for never buying a new outfit for any reason other than court and a funeral. Fuck the wedding. They will rent one for us, and all they're renting for us is a tux. Just give me a blazer. I'll wear some black pants, throw on a dark pair of shoes, and just show up. I ain't even standing in the front anyway. That's what we got going on. Got the same clothes that we had when we was young, especially if we haven't changed sizes from when we was young. Probably still got the same outfits from 30 years ago that still rock well with us right now. We can go in our closet right now and find some throwback shit. But let us walk into a store full of clothes and stop and say, I am going to buy myself one new outfit. I bet you could think of 80 different things to pay for. But that GTA 6, we on that pre-order list. Look, I know. This entire framework is built on a false premise that if you just follow a simple percentages, that your finances will fall into place. But it's a house of cards. The moment life happens, a car repair, a medical bill, a job loss, the whole thing collapses because it was never built on the solid ground of your actual life. I mean, I came to the show late for yet another reason. We a few months ago, I was coming back from Tennessee and I was running out of gas. I thought I had enough gas to get me back to the house. Then my car stalled out. So I thought, I probably should have went to the gas station a few miles back. Dang, I could have made it, right? Then when I got the tow truck and it was late night, and oh yeah, we can bring you to the nearby gas station. And I said, you know what? How far is it from here to my house? Oh, another $25. Just take me home. I'll deal with it when I get home. I ain't even gonna worry about it. Because I figured I just ran out of gas. They put my car on a lift, serpentine belt that came off. I might need to work on my water pump. All this, I didn't know. I'm doing 120 miles an hour from Tennessee, and I didn't get pulled over. My damn serpentine belt didn't come off the car. So I'm like, shit, good thing I told y'all to tow me back to the house. But my plant, $125 I wasn't expecting to pay. And the drive to Tennessee cost me, what, $120 worth of gas money. All day worth of driving. But the whole thing was, I wasn't planning for it. Life changed that dynamic. I threw it up on the card. I didn't have no cash on me. I put it up on a credit card. Then when the money came in, I paid off the credit card. Now I got to tow that same car this month to the shop so that I can get that car fixed while I drive the other car. Remember I told your boy, I said, hey, always have a backup plan. So I got a second car. Need a second gear shift, but that's okay. First, third, and fourth work. I'm driving that one until the other one get done. But why did I have the second car in the first place? Because the transmission gave out in the first one. So instead of me fixing the transmission, I rolled the other. I had one car that only had a transmission issue. I bought a second car so I wouldn't have to fix the first car. Then the second car had an engine problem. Now I'm driving the first car because the second car got an engine problem. And now I'm back in the car that had the transmission problem out the gate. But I own both the motherfuckers. They're going to get fixed eventually. But I'm only driving 20 miles a week. So I could give two shits about the transmission. Now, how fast am I going to go in 45 mile an hour zones? Second gear. So I just skip second and the third and just coast. He said, I'm even on the GTA 7 list. God damn, they ain't even released. They were supposed to release 6 like 2 years ago. You on a GTA 7 list. Jesus. You know you're not gonna see that till you retire, right? All the shit they doing with GTA 6, GTA 7 is probably gonna be a virtual reality game. You're gonna have to put on a full bodysuit. This premise was built on the sandy foundation of an arbitrary formula, because I mean, just like math, there's more than one way to solve life. But if you're in this particular situation, this formula will get you out of it. But when it falls, we're told that we are the ones who failed. So if you try to use the Pythagorean theorem to solve a quadratic formula and you can't do it, they're going to tell you that you failed at math. It was just the wrong formula for the right problem. The failure of the 50-30-20 rule isn't just about bad math. It's about bad psychology. Traditional budgeting methods aren't designed for how human brains actually work. They're designed for a fictional fraction of perfectly rational characters who makes every decision based on pure logic and has limitless willpower, no emotional motivation. The problem is, none of us are that person, or at least very few that are that type of person consistently. We are, in every sense, emotional, irrational, wonderfully complex. Our spending is driven by stress, celebration, boredom, and social pressure, not by spreadsheets. Some of us get so bored we eat. And we eat so much, we end up spending a bunch of extra money on food, not knowing where the fuck the damn food went. Some of us so stressed, we drink and we smoke, not knowing where all our money goes to. Some of us make ourselves so successful in a short period of time that we find ourselves broke as fuck, not realizing how many times drinks was on me because I am successful. Right? And then the social pressure. Come on, man. It's just one night. Shit. Fucked around and spent $40 to get out there, $40 for the cover, $80 at the bar. That's if I don't get a DUI. Now I'm $10,000 in a hole with a $6,000 every 6 month car insurance plan because it's just one night. I had one homeboy. I was at work. He came to my job and he told me, "Yo, brother, why don't you come out there with me then? Then we're gonna go down to the friend's house and we're gonna go have us a party there." And I looked at him and I said, "Bro," I said, "I'm tired. Tomorrow's Sunday. I'm supposed to set this church up for the pastor. I'm going to clean this place up. I'm going to set it up. And I'm going to take my ass home and go to bed." "Oh, you're no fun. You should get out sometime and get you some fun." You don't need to do that every time. They appreciate you, but that's okay. You can go take you a day off one day out of it. The next morning, I finished setting up the church. Everything was good. The service went well. Worked the sound system. Then I left, went to the job, worked on a few dozen cars, went to the other job, ran a nightclub, then went back to the house. The whole weekend passed me by like a blink of an eye. Then my friend came back to me. "Where you been, man? I ain't seen you all weekend." "Man, I just got out." I'm thinking jail. He said, "No, the loony bin." What the hell happened to you that you end up in a loony bin? Y'all got to understand the dynamic of this situation. He went to his friend's house. They had a party where they spiked the food. He ate a lot of the food and he started tripping like some of the worst trips you've ever seen on a stoner movie. Ended up institutionalized for 3 days. Now, had I went out there with him, we would have been in the same damn boat. Acting on emotion, peer pressure, If I would have said, all right, man, I'm going to come with you. If I would not have been strung out like him, worse, I would have been responsible for him because I would have been the friend that's trying to get him back to the house, help him get sobered up. I would have had to deal with his erratic behavior because I wouldn't have known what the hell was wrong with him because he ate the food. It was in the food. It's not like he was drinking alcohol and stuff. He drank water. He got kids. He was a father. Might I add, 3 days missing from his kids at the house by themselves because he's a single man. This type of pressure from bad, irrational, emotional, wonderfully complex decision making. Not because of a spreadsheet. This is where traditional budgeting becomes a psychological minefield. So let's break down the mental traps it sets. First, the most destructive trap is the shame spiral because a traditional budget often operates like a strict diet. It's a system of restrictions focused on all the things you can't do, all the things that you can't have. Y'all know how the hell we was acting when mom and them used to say no until we started saying, fuck that, I'm gonna go get my own money. I'm gonna get my own Super Mario Brothers game. I'm gonna go get my own Pokemon Stadium set. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about. I want to get that Sonic and Knuckles. Shoot. I want that Jaguar so that I can play the Aliens versus Predator game. I want that brand new Mongoose with the shock absorbers on the back. Yeah, some of y'all know what I'm talking about before the internet came out. The language itself is gonna be negative. Cutbacks. Y'all already know what that sound like when you hear cutbacks on the job. Oh shit, I'm either about to lose my job or lose my pay. Reduce spending. Limit yourself. And what happens when you are on a crash diet? You might stick to that shit for a few weeks. But eventually, your willpower will crack. You're going to eat that cookie. And in that moment, you don't just eat one cookie. You eat the whole damn box. I just ate a whole box of double stuffed Oreos before the show. Only reason why I'm still not eating them is because it'll take me too much time to go get the other box of double stuffed Oreos from the kitchen. And you do this because you feel like you've already failed. Think about people who have a drug addiction. They try to quit. They go cold turkey. They get under stress. Then they have a sample of whatever they used to be addicted to. Doesn't matter what it was, drugs, alcohol, sex, doesn't matter what it was. Then they go on a bender. Why? Because I already fucked up. I might as well go all in. Think about the kids that overdose. You ain't had it for a while. Let me keep this high going for as long as possible so that when I get back to the house, I'm still on that high. But you don't understand that while your liver and your kidneys is only going to be able to process so much of that, eventually your body going to shut down because you're taking in too much and not processing enough. You can die from alcohol poisoning just as quickly as dying from snorting cocaine. People don't believe that. Too much of it too often is not good for you. Die on the toilet like Elvis Presley with a bucket of chicken. Once the diet is broken, what is the point? Budgeting works exactly the same way. You track your spending meticulously for a week, but then Friday comes. A friend invites you out. You overspend dining out. Category, buy $20. The budget is broken. That feeling of shame washes over you and it makes you want to avoid the source of that feeling, the budget itself. You stop tracking it. You avoid looking at your bank account. You think, I'll start again next month. The shame doesn't motivate you to paralyze you. It doesn't give you the ability to stop. The second Psychological trap is decision fatigue. I find myself burnt out a lot because I be trying to get all the information for this podcast, but traditional methods, especially zero-based budgeting, where every single dollar is assigned a job, requires an immense amount of mental energy. Y'all gotta know, I know you've seen it, Dylan. Just about every day this week since you jumped into the membership, you be getting information from the YouTube channel telling you about the stocks, the investments, stuff that's being sold, stuff that's being bought, following the dividend rotation strategy. That take a lot of planning, take a lot of organizing, take a lot of budgeting. Wears you down mentally. We all have a finite amount of self-control every day. Think of it like a muscle that can get tired. When you spend all your mental energy agonizing over whether a $5 latte fits into your personal spending or dining out category, you have less energy left to make a smart decision elsewhere. It's exhausting. It's no wonder so many people give up on it. While some surveys suggest most Americans can try to budget, others indicate that far fewer are actively tracking their spending month to month, often because rigid systems feel so unrealistic and punitive. The third trap is a failure to account for human emotions. Our brains are not calculators. The emotional part of our brains are often having a much larger say in our decisions than the logical part. You don't buy a new pair of shoes because the spreadsheet told you it was okay. You buy them because you had a terrible day. You want a little hit of dopamine, and the traditional budget is going to ignore this emotional reality. Now, I already know what you're going to say, Dylan, before you say it. I typically try not to buy another pair of shoes until the first pair of shoes fuck up. But the day that the sole come off the back of the shoe, wrapped around the front of the shoe, the healed and peeled off, the laces break, the tongue rip when you pull it, you gotta go buy you another pair of shoes today. Even an emergency pair of shoes still wasn't in your budget. You was gonna wear them shoes until the Jesus came back with no shoes and asked you for yours. You was gonna wear them shoes until they start making shoes that don't need to be replaced. You was gonna wear them shoes like they were a fictional functioning part of your body. You was never not gonna wear. It don't matter how bad they smell. They could be curling up in the front. You slide them bad boys on and you walk it out. Spray you some odor eaters on them, some tenactin. Stick your foot in there, walk it out. Don't give a damn. Rain, sleet, or snow. That's my shoe. But you don't put buying another pair of shoes in your budget. Because if it ain't broke, why fix it? And if you don't gotta fix it, why put money aside to fix it? Right? People are treating spending as a moral failure instead of a tool that, when used consciously, can help us build a life that we love. For example, knowing that you've had a pair of shoes for more than 12 months, if you know that you cannot remember the last time you bought a pair of shoes, you should put a budget aside of $10 a month. Not a lot of money, but in 6 months it's $60. You can get you at least one backup pair of shoes for $60. And then put $10 a month aside until you start wearing that backup pair of shoes. By that time, you should have $200 or $300 worth of money set aside to buy shoes. You can either buy 2 or 3 pairs of shoes, or you can get you one really nice pair of shoes. But because you put it on a spreadsheet to buy shoes, because you know the shoes you got gonna get worn out, you end up with another pair of shoes. Impulse buying, you take money that was allocated to something else and go buy you some damn shoes. Now the budget is short because you're not calculating the investment. Now, the investment's got to get invested regardless. The utilities got to get utility regardless. The discretion of spending is probably where it's going to come from. But you're still going to go out and party. Now the budget is off. By failing to plan for our predictable emotional triggers, these budgets set us up for a constant battle against our own nature. You know that probably once a month or once every other month, you're going to buy some bullshit. Divide your budget up. That way, every 6 weeks, you got extra money to go buy some bullshit. Set a limit for yourself. But they have a traditional budget that lack a compelling vision. They're all about the how, tracking and cutting, but completely miss the why. And a list of restrictions is not inspiring. Why are you saving this money? Is it for the freedom to quit a job that you hate? The security of a down payment on a house? Because you know, no matter how much you pay your rent on time, once your lease is up, you no longer have house security. You think that because you pay your rent on time and you never complain to your landlord, you believe that you are always going to have a place to stay, but you are on a month-to-month lease agreement that rolls over every month until you sign a new lease with your landlord, which you usually don't sign a new lease with your landlord unless they intend on raising the rent to get a contract that indicates that you're supposed to pay the new amount. You're just grandfathered into the old lease rules, but it's a month-to-month payment option. On that month-to-month payment option, they can take your rent for this month and then give you a 30-day notice to vacate. So that by the first of next month, if you don't get out, after you done gave them your rent money, they can evict you. On principle. You ain't got to do nothing wrong. All they need to do is make it clear that they are no longer interested in upholding the contract that has already expired. The money that you've paid will go towards the current quantity of time you have left, and when that money is out, you must leave. Owning your own home, one of the most dominant recommendations from not only the rich man mindset, but the poor man mindset. If you own it, it will never be taken from you as long as you pay it off and cover the taxes on it, since we're talking about real estate. Once you own it, they will never be able to take it from you. So a lot of people try to get that money to put down on their home security. But some people, you got to ask yourself, is it the adventure of a trip that you've been dreaming of for years? Because these are the things that fuel real lasting change. Restricting your spending on coffee, with all the damn coffee that you see me drink on this show, doesn't just feel like a sacrifice. It's one step away from committing suicide. But choosing not to buy coffee because you are actively funding your dream of backpacking through Southeast Asia to meet all the Filipino chicks is going to feel like an empowering act of self-care. Traditional budgeting focuses on the pain of what you're giving up, not the joy of what you're building for. I'm giving to the church yet again. You put up the money for your tomorrow, give it in the name of the Lord, so that when you die, you can go to the promised land. But while you still living, you ain't got enough money to feed your kids. But again, the pastor's got a Porsche. And you walk in the church in the rain in 40-degree weather with an umbrella with holes in it. I'ma set the picture up like that. Think about the scenario that you just realized. If the old systems are designed to make us feel like failures, what do you believe a good alternative would be? Do we just give up and hope for the best? Absolutely not. The solution isn't to abandon control, it's to redefine it. So what's the real big deal, huh? The moment that we want to look at, it's this. What if instead of forcing your brain to work like a spreadsheet, you chose a system that works with the way your brain is already wired? This is a core idea behind the new school of financial wellness. It's a move away from rigid rules and toward flexibility. Psychology-driven systems support this information. At the forefront of this movement are two powerful concepts: the anti-budgeting and loud budgeting methods. Let's start with the anti-budget, also known as reverse budgeting. It flips traditional budgeting on its head. Instead of tracking every dollar you spend, the anti-budget focuses on just one thing: paying yourself first. I think Cash Money Millionaire said that. Can't pay my rent because all my money is spent. I get paid, but my bills don't. Got a quarter tank of gas in my new E-Class. That's all right. I'm going to ride. Y'all remember the lyrics of that song? I'm trying to tell you. Here's how it works. You decide ahead of time how much money you want to save. A lot of people say pay yourself first. They're going to tell you, invest each month based on your goal. Maybe it's 15% of your money going towards your retirement, or a flat $500 a month for a down payment. Then you automate that amount. Set it up. Automatic transfer from your checking account to your savings account or investment account for the day that you get paid. The money is gone before you even have a chance to spend it. Then you're done. Seriously, you've paid yourself first and covered your fixed bills, which you should also automate. And the rest of the money in your checking account is yours to spend guilt-free. No categories, no tracking, no agonizing over whether a certain ticket was a want or if the money in your account, you have permission to spend it. He's got a good question. How many jobs do poor people need to make it work in today's economy? 3. I already explained to you guys, poor starts at $1,143, $1,145. Actually had a statistic from 2024, 2025 year that said that the working class was $1,765. The working class. The working class is the lower middle class, upper lower class. Lower class is not just low class based on your bad attitude. Lower class means the beginning of the poverty class. So you have the extreme poverty class, that's $30,000. That's when you get like full benefit, food stamps and WIC and all this other stuff. When you start getting over 35, closer to $40,000, $50,000, you start coming out of government funding qualifications. But you still don't have enough money to pay your bills. If you are not making what would likely be identified as $4,500 per month, no matter what state you're in the United States, you're considered poor. Now, the average job is typically paying people between $15 and $2,200 every 2 weeks. So, on the best side of things, you might find yourself making uh $2,000 to $4,000 a month. But on the worst side of thinking, you might find yourself making $1,200 a month per job, where you have to have two jobs bringing in that $2,400, or two jobs bringing in that $1,500 biweekly check, so that by the time you finish bringing in all that money, that you have that five, seven, nine, $10,000 a month bill that you have to pay. One of the reasons why we find ourselves falling into bad relationships, because especially the broke women, and ironically and unfortunately, ladies, the sisters are the brokest ones. It is what it is. You grew up in a broke family. You're broke as an adult. Yeah, you went to college. You're still broke. You got all them damn student loans. You're going to find a dude who's also broke. Y'all are going to come together with y'all brokenness, and y'all are going to try to pay these bills down. Y'all might have a kid together, but y'all still broke. Y'all stay together in a bad relationship. Sometimes, not all the times, but y'all fussing, fighting, and arguing, and sleeping in separate rooms, and setting a bad example for this child because y'all got too much bills to live in two separate houses. Neither one of y'all want to be on child support, and y'all just don't get along with one another. This happens a lot. We find ourselves in relationships transactionally for the financial convenience of a subsidy. Ladies are notorious for not being attracted to the guy, dating him anyway because he'll pay your bills. Men are notorious for not being attracted with a girl and spending extra money on her because he can sleep with her. It's a bad dynamic. Again, emotional thinking that negatively impacts your wealth. But you will find that a lot of lower income individuals partner up based on income, because if the two of us come together and start paying for bills, we both start living in the same house and start paying for bills, we won't have to try as hard. They don't think, oh, we'll get rich together. They think we don't have to try as hard. And it's true. Because if one person can set aside $5,100 a month, both of y'all can set aside almost $1,100 a month. Nobody thinks about that. Now, this method is revolutionary because it works with our psychology. It dismantles the shame spiral because there are no restrictive categories to fail. It destroys decision fatigue by asking you to make one big decision, how much to save, instead of hundreds of tiny little decisions, one big decision. It acknowledges our emotions by giving us a designated pool of money for guilt-free, spontaneous spending. And most importantly, it's built around your vision, anchoring the entire system to your goals. Now let's talk about the other powerhouse, the modern money management plan, loud budgeting. If the anti-budget is an internal automated system, loud budgeting is an external social one. The term was paralyzed or popularized by the TikTok creator Lucas Battle, and is a rebellion against the pressure to keep up appearances. Loud budgeting is simply the act of being open and honest about your financial goals and limitations, about vocalizing your spending choices. Just like when me and Michael on the show start screaming out, we broke. You're damn right we broke, because I ain't got shit to give to you. We broke. Just like when we discuss as men what we got to pay for, we vocalize not only to remind ourselves, but to remind the people around us that we have financial expenses that we prioritize, which makes them walk. I don't got to tell you no. I just got to give you a list of 12 things I got to pay for before I can answer your question. Now, the time it takes for me to pay for them 12 things outlast your deadline, you clearly can't get shit from me. Now, instead of making up big excuses, though, you say something truthful. I'd love to help celebrate with you, but I'm saving aggressively for a down payment right now. That's why $100 dinner isn't in my budget. How about we grab a drink beforehand? Let's save a little bit of money. That's a good way to go. You don't have to spend that money, but that's one way to do it. It's not about complaining that you're broke. It's about proudly stating what you're prioritizing. It's a shift that narrative from I don't have enough money to I have to choose to direct my money elsewhere. That's going to be a game changer because first, it uses social accountability for good. By stating your goals out loud, you create a circle of support. And second, it is normalized conversions about money, dismantling the taboo that keeps so many of us in silent financial anxiety. Brings us to when you decide money needs to come into the light and it is lost in its power over you. Third, to reinforce your identity. Every time you say, I'm not spending on that because I'm saving for a house, you are reinforcing to yourself that you are a person who is disciplined and focused. Anti-budgeting and loud budgeting are the parent pair. They're the perfect pair too. The anti-budgeting is your private system that ensures your goals are met. Now, budgeting is your public declaration that protects your system from outside world. Together, they can create a financial framework built on far more people, based on automation, not willpower, no goals, not guilt, and no honesty, not appearance. The beauty of moving beyond the 50-30-20 rule is that you can build a personalized system that actually works exactly for you. And the anti-budget and loud budgeting are your new foundational pillars, but you can add other psychologically driven tools to your toolkit. So you want to think of these as modular components to your plug and play scenario. Let's start with the method that makes money feel real. Again, cash envelopes, stuffing it in digital cushions, and hybrid envelopes. The classic cash stuffing method is brilliantly simple. You withdraw your discretionary spending for the week, and then for the month, you'll divide that cash into the psyche valve and then label it categories like gas and groceries. I say psyche valve. It is a physical envelope. Restaurants. When you go to the store, you go with your cash from the grocery envelope. And when that envelope is empty, you're done spending in that category. Now, this one's going to become a very tough method, handing over your physical cash triggers, the pain sighting of the day. But I think nice bullet on that one. It's going to feel more significant than swiping a card which naturally chirps impulsive spending. And of course, we're largely going to recognize that we are live in a cashless world. So you can use the hybrid system to apply the same principles digitally by opening uh, some multiple fee-free checking accounts and then nicknaming them for your categories like groceries, fun, when you are, and the paychecks will come in as you. I mean, you can pen pal them and write them back. But accountability was distributed funds into these digital envelopes and the use of them, specifically debt, for each of the units there. It replicates the hard times of the physical system, but it adopted uh, the platform for the modern life. We're almost done here. Next, for those who get overwhelmed by a monthly budget, there's a paycheck method. Another month can feel like a long time. The paycheck method solves this by breaking down your payments into smaller chunks. Instead of one big monthly budget, you create middle budgets every single time you get paid. When a paycheck lands in your account and you sit down and give your car the once over, that's going to be when it's feeling good. Then on the next paycheck, you're going to start asking yourself, what bills are due? And when are we out in 2 weeks? As soon as they finish with the investigation. So, how much do you need for groceries? You got to ask yourself that. How much cash can you send? You got to ask your supervisor for that. And then, approaching the smoothies when you're out of cash and flowing and making budgeting plans and then feeling less and intimidating, it is especially powerful. It just takes a lot of effort. Finally, for those ready to move into the expert level, gotta chug me some more coffee to stay in here. There's scenario budgeting. He says 7. Are you counting the ways? You're counting the ways. He says 6. He's counting down to the top of the hour. So life isn't statistics. Scenario budgeting is the practice of creating multiple budgets for different potential futures. So you're never caught off guard. You create 3 core scenarios. The baseline budget, your budget for normal based lifestyle decisions on your current income and regular expenses. The lean budget, which is recession mode style spending, where your worst case scenario plan has come into effect. And what would you do if you lost your job or your income was suspended during this period of time? He said, Happy New Year. You do realize that it is December 9th. It ain't even Chinese New Year's. And you got 10 minutes if you are in, well, it's New Year's if you're with me in Florida, but if you're somewhere in Central America, it's almost midnight by 10 o'clock. about 10 minutes. You got like 9 minutes left before the top of the hour. He's not according to the moon people. Oh, Lord. He done got back on whatever he was on yesterday. Now, if you utilize the budget that I was talking to you guys about, this is going to strip down everything to its bare essentials. Now, you don't live on it now, but having to have it ready removes the fear of the unknown. Having a bonus budget or a surplus mode, this is going to be in your best case scenario planning, where you be able to determine what will you do with unexpected income. Like a work bonus or a tax refund, buying dedicated or deciding to buy this ahead of when you actually needed it. The first $5,000 of any bonus will max out a IRA return, and you prevent your emotional brain from frittering in the wind, where that money will be able to not get blown away because they'll safety pin it to the wall when they come through. It's a wild observation. He said, do you have Sonic Drive in Florida, or is it only a texting thing? We have Dairy Queen, not the Sonic Drive. We have Checkers. Oh no, we do have a Sonic Drive too. We have a Sonic next to the Checkers, and Checkers is a Rally's. And then we have a Dairy Queen. So we got a lot of those because, Florida's part of the South. As soon as I read the second name, I was like, oh yeah, I know about that one. Sonic Drive. Now, these tools are not meant to be adapted all at once. The goal is to experiment. Try one, see how it feels. Does it reduce your anxiety? Does it make you feel more controlled? And you are the architect of being someone that you can build on, that's going to bring yourself peace and not stress. You got a lot of story going on right now. He said, we're getting our first bungalows. I don't got a bungalow. No, I don't got a bungalow. If I had me a bungalow, I'd have me a hot chick over here messing with my bungalow. But if you guys are feeling a spark of recognition that this is what I've been missing feeling, then I hope that you guys want to take your time for the first step and shift from restrictive budgeting to an international spending plan that is most important to changing how you can take care of the things that you need done. Now, to make it as easy as possible, you'll find for those who want it, we'll be able to get them a one-page anti-budgeting starter guide from the membership. So you just got to go in there and go and grab you one when I throw it in there after the show. It'll walk you through the exact steps to calculate your savings and goals. And you're going to have to spend some time listening to the father and your grandfather tell you about transfers and automation inside of your goals, where you can set up your own guilt-free spending system in less than an hour. So make sure that you guys take a look at that. Now, while you're there, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button before you walk away from the show. That way we'll be able to build more of a life with each other where you are in a complete and controlled setting for yourselves. Now, for years, you have been in a fight with your finances, led to believe that you were the problem. You were told that you lacked discipline, that you weren't trying hard enough, that you were simply bad with money. And I hope that you now see that you were never fighting against yourself. You were fighting against a broken system. And while you were fighting that broken system, you were trying to win the game that was rigged from the start. Like going to a casino, knowing that the things got magnets under the table, just to see how fast you'll lose. The 50-30-20 rule and the culture of restrictive budgeting is created uh, like a hammer in a world that requires a whole toolkit, not just the banging of one nail. It's a blunt instrument that fails to appreciate the complexity of a modern financial life. It doesn't understand variable incomes, the crushing weight of student debt, because student debt, if you change your social security number, if you change your name, your student debt will be transferred to your new identity. So that's a big damn. In addition to that, the emotional forces that uh, truly drive your decisions is going to be the ones that put you in a position to be forced to get permission. It's going to promise control, but deliver mostly guilt and anxiety. That's not what you were doing this in the first place for. It's time to lay that toolkit down and stop blaming yourself. The path forward isn't about finding a more complicated spreadsheet. It's about a fundamental shift in perspective from a mindset of restriction to a mindset of intention. It's about building a system that honors your goals and respects your humanity. Now, the anti-budget gives you freedom through automation, generating your build where you can build your future while granting yourself the grace to live your life today without guilt. Now, that type of method is not going to make you a millionaire, because after you finish putting 50 to 75% towards your bills, if you're going to spend 10% or 15% on entertainment, you only have 5% left over. And it takes you a long time to get to $1 million on 5% or even 10%. Loud budgeting is going to give you the power through transparency to turn social spending pressures from a liability into an asset. You can leverage your authority over the decision making of a situation if you're going to pay for it. These methods are not just about managing money, they are about buying back your mental peace. They are about reclaiming the energy that you've wasted feeling guilty about buying a coffee, which the coffee kept me alive the last half of the show. Your financial wellness isn't measured by how perfectly you categorize expenses. It's measured by how freely you can have a life that you would love to live with confidence, and that your money is supporting your journey towards the life that you truly want. So I want to leave you here with one core message. You're not a bad person with money. You just had a bad method that you are trying to stick to. Starting today, you have the knowledge and the permission to choose a new strategy for yourself. Start small. You can start by Automating a savings goal. Have one honest, loud budget conversation. Take one step away from the old rules and towards a new system that serves you. If you start by putting that money away automatically, let's say you decide to put 500 away automatically on a regular basis. Then let's say that you take 500 out of that, or 20% out of that, or $200 out of that, and put it into your stock option. And let's say that you got a cash stock that you just keep doing a drip plan with and rebudgeting. You might cross over your emergency fund threshold, and then you might decide to go all in on your stock portfolio. You might not have any emergencies. You might want to shave some off the top of your emergency fund and go all in on your stock portfolio, and then start building back up your emergency. You might skip a vacation and take the vacation money and put it on your stock portfolio, and then start building up on your emergency. Eventually, you're going to start seeing more dividends coming back from your stock portfolio. You might want to take that money from a stock portfolio and start investing in the gold and silver and Bitcoin. It starts with deciding to put money away first. A certain quantity of money that you're not going to spend for any reason. And how important that level of savings needs to be to you is equivalent to those people who know what I'm talking about. If you've ever had one of those unique currencies from the United States, like a whole dollar coin that you just keep in your wallet and won't spend, that $2 bill that you just keep in your wallet and you don't spill, you show it to people. You don't really want them to touch it, but you show it to people that it exists, but you won't spend it. That last $500 bill that's framed in your house, or even worse, that last $1,000 bill that is framed in your house, where people know that they used to exist, but you can't spend it. This is where you got to put your money prioritization into investing into your tomorrow. One of my homeboys told it to me best. We struggle today to make our later greater. It ain't about what we're doing today, because today is yesterday. But if yesterday we wasn't focusing on tomorrow, that's the reason why today sucked. If in 2025 our goal is to make 2026 better than 2024, when we get to 2026, our goal is to make our 2027 better than our 2025. When tomorrow becomes today, yesterday will be a distant memory. But if tomorrow is set up better than today, then tomorrow should be less stressful. You need to take one step away from the old rules and towards the new system that serves you. This isn't about becoming a perfect budgeter, because I give you guys all kinds of rules. Oh, you said a person. Old school. Old school, brother. It's about becoming a more intentional and ultimately a more free version of yourself. Because you have to understand, when you intentionally buy something, like let's say you buy a car, you know the make, you know the model, you know the horsepower, you know how much tire pressure is in the air, how many seats it's got, what transmission it operates on, how much gas goes into the tank, what type of oil it's supposed to have, whether or not it's got a sunroof, a moonroof, a 4-door, a 2-door, a hatchback, a spare tire. You know it all. You bought it for a reason. Now, ladies, you go to buy yourself a car because it's cute. Now that you got it, the inside of it is not cute. I got a perfect example for you. The Veloster. Anybody who knows about that car, the specs on it, fantastic. Better than a Honda Civic almost. Visibility in that bitch sucks. You best to be going forward because trying to look out the back, not gonna help. Then car sits on the ground. Oh, it looks sexy like that till you try to go over a speed bump. Sometimes it look cute and the visual aesthetics are not practical. Take the Cybertruck. Ugly as fuck. But dynamic and versatile for what it was built for. Still garbage for what we would want to use it for day to day. If you had it for what it was built for, it would outlast its purpose. You just got to ask yourself, what was it really built for? Besides making a billionaire more billions. The control that you've been searching for is within your reach. It is your responsibility to get up and go claim it. You can be the champion of your life, or you can be the court jester. You can be the king in your castle, or you can be the servant. It is ultimately your choice. The difference between the best days that you can ever remember in your life versus the worst days that you could ever remember in your life is how much the outcome impacted you and how much control you had over the outcome. Because honest to God, everybody knows that situations that were not in your control did not hurt your feelings as much as the situations that were inside of your control that you allowed to get out of control. Everybody remembers that one scenario where had I done it differently, I might have not have gone through so much shit. Nobody remembers the moments where it was completely out of my hands and I was just an individual involved in circumstance, not even a victim. Because I got into the situation, got right back out of it. It wasn't nothing I can do. Like if you hit a pothole in the street and catch a flat and bust your rim, and because that was a natural disaster in the street, your insurance buys you a new rim, you get a $15 a month premium increase. You just keep paying your insurance, but you got your new rims. Victim of circumstance. But remember that time that you wasn't looking both ways and the deer come out of nowhere and you done ran into the deer and folded up your car. You pissed off for months because your ass could have been driving slower. You could have had your high beams on. You could have had your radio turned down so that you could hear all the rustling in the trees. You could have left earlier so that you would not have been out there when they was crossing in the darkness where you couldn't see them. You could have left later. You could have not been out there at all. You could have took a different route. All of the woulda, coulda, shouldas is that's what you're going to dwell on. How you had so much control to make your situation better. And for some reason, this is the last hour of your downtime before the warden tell you to hit your bunk and lock up. And you still watching the podcast. You're going to make better decisions in 2026. I hope. But what it takes is for you to realize is that the things that you didn't like about last year, that you cut that shit out this year. The things that didn't work for you this year, you stop doing it next year. You stop doing it now for next year. These aren't New Year's resolutions. These are dynamic shifts in your decision-making process. Whatever wasn't working before is not going to continue to follow the mindset of it is what it is, or that's the way it's always been. Your behavior and your practices must be meticulous. They must be intentional. If the outcome hasn't changed this whole time, the first question you have to ask yourself is, what did I not change yet to get a new outcome? You go to work every day, can't never get a raise. Go find out from your boss why you're not getting a raise. If the only thing left is a promotion, find out from your boss, what do you need to do to get a promotion? If you don't like this job, you don't really want a promotion, you don't like the responsibility, or the job just doesn't appreciate its employees. Your goal right now is not to be more responsible in this job where you're more tied to a position that you could potentially get fired from. Your responsibility is now to put enough money aside so that either when they fire you or you quit, you got enough money to hold you over to, one, rest, get you a little vacation, and then two, go find you another damn job. If you know that no matter how good you are at following instructions, you hate following instructions. You wish that people would stop telling you how to do the stuff that you know how to do. Why not be your own boss? Start off by working your 9 to 5 and side jobbing your side hustle, your hobby. Build it up to an income. Build it up till the income surpasses your current income. That way, when you two middle fingers your boss and walk out the doors like Stone Cold Steve Austin, you can go and be your own Dr. Dre and run your own shit and be successful at it. Because you realize that one of the reasons why the most businesses fail in the first 2 to 4 years is because of the investment cost and the time it takes for the business to hit the ground and start turning a profit. It is harder for us in the first 5 years to get the business to pay for itself before we can get it to turn a profit. Because you realize that turning a profit means that all the bills are paid and money is left over. If you're trying to make this into something big enough to sustain more than just you, the same way I was telling the man on Saturday and Sunday, expand your business, buy a second truck, put a second worker in there, pay for a mechanic, advertise, network, bring in more business that can support more labor costs, and then diversify, delegate. Go from you being the only person in this business to calling only one person in this business and asking them how the rest of the business is running. Right? It takes about 40 to 60% of your profit to be reinvested into the business, to scale it up to a magnitude where you don't have to show up anymore. And it still runs itself. 40 to 60% of your profit has to be reinvested into the business. So out of 100% of the money that you get, okay, first you have to exceed 100% of the debt, whatever the monthly expenses are. Then 40 to 60% of everything else gets reinvested into the business. Sometimes all of it gets reinvested into the business until you reach a point where you're making more money or you're servicing more clientele than what you can manage. Hire a few extra people, have them help you do the work that you've been trying to do. You can step back a little bit, take a smaller chunk of pay, but now you can do more scaling up and expanding the business and hiring more people. You can go from getting 40% to getting 20% from 10 people. You can go from getting 20% to getting 10% from 40 people. That's a small business. If you're getting commission off of their sales, all you got to do is just get you a bunch of salesmen. It's almost like a pyramid scheme, but the difference is that you yourself are setting up your own business. Whatever the job description is that you don't want to do, you hire somebody and have them do that. If you don't like answering the phones, you hire somebody that's good with the phones. If you're not good at marketing, you hire somebody that does marketing. If you're not good with social media, you hire somebody to do social media. You know what I mean? Like your boy said, he needed a mechanic, you hire somebody to do a mechanic. You got 5 or 7 people that need to be monitored, you hire somebody to be a manager or promote the first person that dedicated themselves to the job to be a manager, to train the other people to do the work that you want done the way you want it done so that you don't got to train them. Now with 6, 7, 8 people, you just hire a third party to run payroll. Now you don't got to run payroll. Now you just got to have somebody somewhere towards the top that reports to you and tell you what's going on. You done removed yourself from the business. What do you think you're doing with your free time? Starting up another business or expanding this business to different branches in different areas. But it starts with you reinvesting 40 to 60% of your income into whatever it is that you're trying to do. So the 40% that's left out of 100% of the money that you make is the profit that you end up putting back into your pocket, which sometimes takes 6 or 7 years. So if you start up a business right now while you on good terms with your boss, build it up into something. Spend a few hours a day every day trying to get something going with it. Start building up your customer base. Start flipping the money, reinvesting, advertising, start expanding the workload. Eventually, you're going to have to reduce yourself from full-time work on your job to part-time work so that you can spend more time on your other job. Eventually, you're going to have to go from part-time work to no work at all so that you can prioritize that job. But by then, it will not only have a reputation, but it will be running itself. That's a long-term goal. That's not something that you're going to start in December and be set for life in January of 26. That's going to be something that you start right now today, and this time next year, you're going to come and talk to me about how far you've come, but you're still trying to make it. But you got to understand that every day that you go to work for somebody else could be your last day on the damn job. You just seen that shit in October. Almost 2 million people got fired for 30 fucking days because a bunch of folks that we don't know couldn't agree on a budget we ain't never seen with the money we gave them. Ain't that a damn shame? Every day you go to work could be your last day on the job. Back in the day, they used to give you pink slips. They don't give you pink slips no more. They technically, by law, supposed to give you your money within 24 to 48 hours of terminating you. No, you can just come get it on the next payday. They're going to direct deposit it on the next payday. They're going to make you wait. By the time you take legal action against them for keeping your money then hit your bank account. It's a wasted civil action. Most people can't even afford to do that. But the real deal Holyfield is, all they got to do is call you up one day and tell you, don't come in today. Take the week off. Your life as you knew it is over. If you don't have a backup plan, if you don't have an alternative, you're not talking about a rainy day fund. You're talking about a blizzard. You're talking about snowed in. You're talking about tsunamis. We're talking about catastrophic failures. I want everybody right now that was born in the 80s, that lived through Katrina, to ask yourself, what have you done since 2019 to be prepared for that shit to happen again? 18 months of you can't go to work. What have you done to prepare yourself for that happening again? Because everything in life that has happened to you at least once is highly likely to happen to you again. How many of you are ready for 18 months of no employment? Anybody who had that blizzard in New York that had no power for 2 months in the snow, how many of y'all prepared for that blizzard again? Anybody who lived in Louisiana who survived Katrina, how many of y'all ready for another flood? 3 months with no power or running water. Y'all don't fix y'all life for the shit y'all know could have happened to you because it done already happened to you once before. Y'all not ever gonna improve your life from the way it used to be. Started at the bottom, Still at the bottom. So the budget and information that I give y'all, fellas, to help y'all become higher value men. Because I mean, in order for you to make better financial decisions, you got to first make better decisions in your personal life, because the stuff that you do in your personal life costs you money. The stuff that you say costs you money. The people that you affiliate with cost you money. The stuff that you do on social media costs you money. You understand? At the end of the day, your ability to make money and your desperation to make money is dependent upon the complexity of your personal life. So if you fix your personal life, you can focus more on your financial life. And if you make better decisions in your financial life, you have more money for your personal life. That's what we do here on This and That. And ladies, before we walk out the door, I just want y'all to understand that y'all can take this information and make yourselves high value women as well. But like I keep telling y'all have to prioritize the things that are inside of y'all control, and then navigate around the things that are not. So as we walk off the show, I want to say, ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking y'all to make it make sense. So ladies, please make it make sense. I want to thank y'all for coming to tonight's show. We're going to get a different country that we're going to be investing in tomorrow for Wednesday. And then we start seeing Thursday and Friday is already up there. We're going to get Saturday up there, hopefully towards the end of the day tomorrow. And just make sure that you guys hit the notification buttons so that you are notified as soon as we go live. I want to thank you guys for coming to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. Special shout out to Dylan and Michael. I'm going to see you guys tomorrow night.
Chase validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt upon the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher, constantly making my own climb. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. Just live.